Hey everyone, welcome back to Contractor Growth Network. I'm Logan Shinholzer, and today I'm talking all about how to create a culture of content. As a contracting company owner, at this point, you know you need to do it, and it is very hard if you are the only person in your company that is really driving the content ship. So I'm going to walk through some stories and some scenarios of how I did it first in my dad's pond company, when the owner of the company, my dad, really didn't even want to do it himself. So I walk through it and give you the big three of how to create that culture of content. Let's go. All right, so back in 2014, when I started doing all the marketing for my dad's pond company, I learned all about this thing called content. And we had come back from a conference, and he turned to me, and that's when he said, if I'm going to waste money on marketing, Logan, I might as well waste it on my own son. Do you want to take over the marketing for me? And at the time, I didn't know anything about marketing, and I had a Facebook page and an Instagram, like for my own personal stuff, and all he had was a Schwab account and a QuickBooks. So it's like, in terms of who knew more about marketing, myself or my dad, it was me. So when I started taking over everything for his company marketing-wise, it was all based around creating content. And in 2014, that wasn't really a thing. So it was this pie in the sky. Will this work? Will it not work? We have no idea. And the most frustrating part about creating content is that nobody, especially at that time, we didn't know if it was going to work. Okay. Now in 2023, we know it works. In fact, the biggest companies out there, that's their whole strategy. Right? So Fortune 500 companies, they're slowly getting into this, but companies that really understand how marketing works in 2023 and beyond recognize that content is king. So what I did at Premier Ponds and my dad's company was his first methodology when it came to marketing was, Logan, I don't care about the marketing. I don't care how it works. I just want to know, is this going to make my phone ring? And what I realized with that mentality from him was that he really didn't care to know the fundamentals or any of the basics around marketing. And I remember specifically one time in a meeting, every Monday morning we would have a team meeting where the whole company would be there, and I would do my marketing minute essentially. And what I did is I stood up and I started talking about, hey, this past week, guys, I wrote a couple blogs for us. This is what we talked about. And halfway through, he puts up the timeout hands where he's got like the T, like he just like gave me a technical foul. And he said, stop. Logan, we don't want to know about this stuff. We just want to know, is it going to work? And I remember at that moment, what ended up happening was he essentially told the team, we don't care about content. We don't care about marketing because we're not going to spend a minute, 2 minutes on it. And I had to afterwards, and this is the beauty of this, is that it was myself and my dad. I had to tell him offline, look, you can't do that. Like when you do that, like now I feel like you just totally took any sort of like, I don't know, authority that I had where I'm asking the team to produce content and give it over to me. You just took it all away because essentially you just removed all of that right then and there. And he realized it, said, okay. And at that point, I then had to somehow win the team back when it came to content, because I realized now in 2023, the companies that do the best marketing wise in the contracting world are those that have content, and the ones that have the best content and the most amount of content are the ones where the owners are bought in. Well, go back to 2014, that buy-in wasn't there from my dad. His whole thing was like, I got to do something, and I'm simply checking the box, and I might as well kill two birds with one stone, where I'm checking the box, plus I'm helping my son out. So I had to get the team back on board, and what I started to do was, as I'm creating these blogs, which none of them read or none of them really cared about because nobody really knew if it was going to work, the first thing that I did was I told them, look, I need photos from you guys to actually back up what I'm saying in the blogs. And instead of just yelling at them and telling them, get me these photos, I actually created a form on Premier Ponds' website. It was a hidden form where what they could do was they could go to this form. Let's say it was just like .com/blog upload form. And when they would go on there, I had examples of these are the types of photos that I actually need from you. And below in that form upload those photos. And what they would do is they didn't know why they were doing it. They just knew they had to upload these photos. They would take the photos, upload it to the form, and it came right back to me. So the first big thing that I did to try to get buy-in back from the team was making it really easy on them. showing them exactly this is the kind of content that I need, and this is a very simple way for you to send it over to me. Because everybody had smartphones back then. This is 2014 still. So they would take it on their iPhone, hop on the Wi-Fi, and then upload it right then and there. So that was the very first thing that I did to get buy-in back onto the team. The second thing that really got buy-in was on top of that was making it easy, was the second thing was when I would actually go out and film the team, my goal was to make it fun, but what they really started to see on their side was when they would show up to the client's house at a new project, and usually it's a little bit awkward. You don't really know the client, and you're saying hey because you're supposed to do that because that's what a professional contracting company does. Well, the first time that a client already knew all of their names because they had been seeing their videos, that's when the identity shifted from we're just this low-level pond person to, wow, people actually know who I am. They know my name and my reputation is preceding me. And now that I look back at it, I realize this was giving a level of importance to the team that they never felt like they had before. They always knew that when they finished doing the pond for a homeowner, the client loved it, but realistically, once they realized that people were actually watching their stuff and were personally engaged with them as the person, not just the guy who's digging my pond in the backyard, that was when the next light bulb went off for them, which was, wow, this thing actually makes our lives a little bit easier because when we show up, we're already kind of the rock stars here. And what happened as a result of that was clients were happier to start off with. So by the end of the week, the amount of times that the client would say, hey, what time are you guys finished on Friday? Cool, I'm going to have a cookout for you guys. What kind of beer do you like? That made the job so much more fun. So as a whole, it was really them seeing the proof was in the pudding with actually doing the content. So again, they became way more receptive to the whole thing. If you want to jump on the bandwagon that is all things video and video marketing, we actually have a very, very cool email series that we created for that specific reason. So if you want to learn more and have some templates and frameworks and really understand what it takes to grow the business through video, go ahead, hop on that email series. We have the link in the show notes right here on the podcast. Now, the one thing I haven't talked about with the getting the buy-in here is one person needs to be accountable for it. Here at CGM, we've got Mike. Mike does all of our content. You've probably seen him a lot. And the reality of it is I get the idea of content. At the same time, my role is not best spent just simply producing content for CGN. So when it comes to doing the things that we need to do for content, I will still show up and I'll make sure that it's getting done, because if I'm on camera, I obviously have to be there, but Mike makes sure that everything happens behind the scenes, so it's very easy for me just to show up. At Premier Ponds, what ended up happening a lot was when I was doing it and that was my only role, it was fantastic because that was my only job. But as soon as I left and I started doing more CGN stuff, what ended up happening was they would then assign somebody who was like a normal laborer to also do the content. And as a result, what would happen is they all knew the content had to be made, but if the person standing outside the pond with the camera was just kind of hanging out in between shots, they would say, hey, could you just quickly hop in here and give me a hand, because you know how to dig ponds and move rocks and stuff like that. So that person whose role was supposed to be 75% creating and producing and promoting content and 25% work, then flipped to 75% work, 25% content, and again, now the content started to slip. So now Premier Ponds and a few of our other clients have a dedicated content creator for social media, and as a result, all they do is content. That is their job. That is their only job. And again, it feeds back into once the clients or once the crew can really start to see and feel the homeowners like knowing who they are before they show up, that gets, again, more buy-in. It's kind of like this self-fulfilling prophecy of like, you shoot the content, clients see the content helps the clients love the team even more, team gets more fired up to do the next piece of content, and the cycle continues. So when it comes to creating a culture of content, the first thing is it's got to come top down. Okay, somebody has to want this thing to work, and the easiest person to set the standard here is the owner. Or if you're large enough, the director of marketing or somebody that has a direct accountability of making sure this happens, because if they don't really believe in it, nobody else is going to believe in it. The second thing is make it easy. All right. I hear a lot of times to say outside of content, yard signs, door hangers, we know we got to do that stuff. But the owners say, well, my foreman just doesn't see the value in it. I'm like, do you see the value? And they're like, well, sure. And realistically, if the owner of the company really saw a lot of value in putting out yard signs and door hangers, they would say to the foreman, this is part of your job. Or they would incentivize the foreman and say, not only is this part of your job, but every door hanger or yard sign that you put out that then brings us back a job, I'm going to give you $300, $500, whatever it is, because now everybody is incentivized to get this thing out there. So start top down, make somebody accountable for it, and then get the crew bought in. You just need to do it enough until they become famous, and then they truly feel important, and now they want to do more and more content as a whole. If this was helpful for you and you are trying to create your own culture of content, do me a favor and leave a review, or if you know another contractor who's also in that same boat, please share this with them. This may be the one thing that unlocks everything for them. So go ahead, leave a review, share it, and we'll see you on the next episode.